Right now, you're listening to the Scary Vibes podcast. My name is Michael, aka Mr. Scary Vibes.
And my name is Abe, aka Big Paranormal. What's happening, everybody?
Welcome back. Episode 27. Tonight's topic is straight from the community, natural disasters. We're both going to cover two movies that we feel go perfectly with this week's topic, and then we're going to cover some true crime events. But before we get into that, Big Paranormal, how have you been? What have you been watching this week?
You know what, man? This has been kind of like a recovery week for me, man. I worked really, really hard this weekend. So this weekend, I really did take an opportunity to sit back, relax, and watch a bunch of different movies, right? Some new, some old, some classic. Okay. So most recently, I actually watched a movie that was a Shudder original that was actually just released by the name of Abraham's Boys. And I know people are probably going to be sitting there and like shaking their heads and shrugging their shoulders. Oh, the only reason why you wanted to listen to that is because it's got your name in it. Not true.
That's what
Not
I'm
true.
thinking.
No. So basically, what caught my interest about this was it was supposedly a movie about Abraham Van Helsing, who is the famous, protagonist in the Dracula movies, right? So
Yes.
when you think Dracula, you have to think Van Helsing, right? He's basically the Joker to Batman. It's that type of rivalry, the kind of good versus evil aspect of it. And the thing that really like kind of spoke out to me about this film was that it was taking place after the events of the original Dracula story, right? So I guess after Van Helsing faced off against Dracula, he actually ended up marrying Mina and then moving them to the US. And they end up buying a farm. They have two boys and they end up raising their boys on this farm. But apparently, the threat of Dracula is not over yet, right? And so I was like, okay, this actually looks great. The trailer was awesome. The movie is only about an hour and a half long, which already you're just kind of like, I don't know about that. But as excited as I was for this movie, man, oh, it was so lackluster, I gotta say. Now, obviously, if anybody wants to go ahead and watch it, I'm not going to tell you not to watch it. Don't take my word for it, right? Go ahead and, see for yourself. It's streaming on Shudder. This one was definitely a huge miss for me just because I felt like there was a twist in the story and I don't want to go too deep into it because of the fact that like I can't talk about it without giving it away.
I mean,
You know.
the fact that it's the Abraham boys, are you holding it to a higher standard than anything else?
Heck yes, I am. What the hell, man? You can't slap my name on it and have it be like hot dog shit. Like I'm really upset at what they did and the way that they marketed it so well and the trailer was so good that it hooked me in and then I watched it and I was just like I can't believe that I actually sat through the entire movie, which it like goes at a snail's pace, and I was just hoping that it was going to get better. But then finally, when it reaches the climax, I was like, bro, this was just so, ugh, it was just so bad. Um, that was just one of the movies that I saw. Won't recommend it, but listen, if you guys want to see it, go ahead and see it. I also watched a movie, I believe it was made in 2016. It's available on Prime called My Best Friend's Exorcism. That one was a really fun watch, actually. It was like a horror comedy. Basically, these two teen girls, best friends, like more like sisters, and they end up taking a trip to one of their mutual friends' lake house, like a cabin in the woods. They end up playing with this like ancient Ouija board, and I don't really need to say what happens, but basically, they end up awakening some kind of demon, and it takes hold of one of the girls, and it's just fun. There's a lot of crazy things that happen in there, some good comedy, some good laughs. crazy scares. I would definitely recommend that also if you guys want to put that on your watch list. But literally just a few minutes ago, I watched a Hulu release of a movie that I put this one on my schedule to watch it because I was really interested by it. And it was called It Feeds with
Ooh.
Ashley Greene. Ashley Greene is famously from the Twilight series. And since the Twilight series, she's kind of done like some, kind of lower budget horror movies, a bunch of which I wasn't really too impressed with. But with this one, it was like a little bit of a bigger budget. Just to give you a little bit of an insight into the plot of the movie, Ashley Greene is a medium, right? She's like a seer. She has a teenage daughter, and she uses her abilities to kind of help people get past their trauma. They end up having this other teenage girl that comes looking for her specifically to help her. Apparently, this girl is possessed. I don't want to say possessed, but she's being plagued by like this demon that is basically feeding off of her energy. And she has these visible scars, and she's basically begging, for help. Now, Ashley Greene ends up turning the girl away because she's like, listen, this is very dark, right? So she doesn't tell the teen girl this, she tells her daughter this. This is actually very dark, and potentially, I don't want to open it up to where this thing could try to attach itself to us, right? And me being empathic and dealing with, spiritual things, this movie really resonated with me, especially with, recent things that happened. Last week, had a follower that reached out regarding being attacked spiritually. And one of my biggest fears, being empathic, is that something will attach itself to me, right? So this movie really tweaked my interest, and it was surprisingly, man, this was a banger. It was a banger. For it being a lower budget horror movie, the special effects in it were actually really, really good. The writing was pretty solid. The concept was great. I honestly would definitely recommend for people to watch it. It's on Hulu. If you've got Hulu and you have some time to kill, go ahead and watch it. Let me know what you think. But those are my picks. Those are the things that I watched so far. What about you, brother? Have you watched anything new lately?
I've been watching a little bit of horror related stuff. It's kind of funny that you kind of had a recommendation to kind of stay away from or something you didn't like. I kind of had a similar experience this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I was bored. I was on Tubi. I come across a movie that I haven't seen yet, but it's been on my list for a long time. 31, directed by Rob Zombie. It's from 2016. But basically, it's five carnival workers that are kidnapped the night before Halloween and held hostage in a large compound. And it was just one of those movies that opening scene, creepy as F. He's like holding this guy hostage, and it's dark, and there's violence and gore, and it had me engaged.
Mm-hmm.
But soon after, I kind of just got disengaged. I couldn't follow the story very well, and I kind of just stopped watching it.
Yeah.
So originally thinking that maybe I was maybe distracted and whatnot, but I had spoke to you, and you were saying that you kind of had similar feelings about this movie.
Yeah, it was pretty much the same as you, dude. Like I started watching it and like a few minutes into it, it really does kind of captivate you and you're like, "Oh, okay, this looks like it could be something, worth watching." But then like it just really I don't know, the tone just kind of falls off after a
Yeah,
while. And for it being a Rob Zombie movie, I was actually pretty surprised that it kind of went in that direction, you
yeah,
know?
the crazy thing is the fact that I watched that, and then I think the very next day I took my daughter. There was a little carnival that
Okay.
was like literally like 10 minutes down the road from us, and carnies are creepy, man.
Carnies are creepy.
They're just like all, and it was so hot yesterday. It's been hot every day,
Oh
but
yeah.
yesterday was like an oven. There, it was completely overcast in the
Mm-hmm.
Chicagoland area, but it was like literally an oven because we went around like 2 o'clock p.m.
Mm-hmm.
and it was just hot, hot yesterday, and you
Yeah.
could just see all the carnies just they were they were looking creepy and they were looking tired.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm sure that they were pretty pissed off that they had to work out there and, serve you guys cotton candy and work your rides and whatnot. So I mean, I think I'd be pretty pissed too if I was out there in 90-degree heat, standing out there for like probably what 12, 13, 14 hours.
Definitely a rough job, so give it out to those guys. So then after I
Absolutely.
watched that, I caught up on some Dexter, which I'm actually loving this season. This season, I'm recommending it to all my people out there that love Dexter.
Oh, I definitely
And
got to
then
try to catch up on that, man. I have to catch up on that.
it's good. It's getting good.
Okay.
And then I was listening to a podcast, Talks from the Crypt. The
Mm.
he was interviewing this guy, Sean Clark. He's just this guy who is like deep in the horror community, and what he does best is he actually goes to horror movie locations.
Mm.
He'll break a movie down, but he breaks it down in extreme detail, and he'll go there and he'll kind of just line it up with like Polaroids while giving you just fun facts about the movie. So I was watching an interview with him in it, and then I went back and I started watching some of his videos on YouTube. So pretty
That's right.
interesting.
Didn't you tell me that recently you had watched an interview with I mean, I know that you were talking about Kane Hodder previously, right? You had talked about Kane Hodder in the past, and you had mentioned that I guess Wes Craven had
Oh,
actually approached Kane Hodder.
yeah. So last week I was watching a podcast with Kane Hodder on it, and he was telling a story about an interaction that he had with Wes Craven, and it was when Wes Craven had Nightmare on Elm Street was just an idea. And one of the things that he mentioned to Kane was that he was looking for somebody who had burn marks. Kane Hodder, he does have burn marks on his body. So he would have been a perfect fit to Wes Craven, and the fact that he brought it up to him and he made that comment to him, it kind of just there was a what if, he became Freddy Krueger.
Oh my gosh.
And the thought of that is it's kind of crazy to think about because I mean we're so Robert England did such an amazing job, but he brought it to life. How different would that character be if it was played by Kane?
Right. And the fact that Kane is, not to take anything away from Kane because obviously, I mean, he's the dude's a powerhouse, right? I mean, he is probably there have been several actors who have portrayed Jason Voorhees over the years, but the most well-known and the most iconic is Kane Hodder, right? Like that guy is the most intimidating. He's the one who kind of revolutionized the whole, breathing and moving the shoulders up and down, right? And there was just something so ominous about him doing that. He's this physical actor, which man, I mean, he's amazing. But I honestly could not really see him playing Freddy Krueger, like you said. Robert England really brought that character to life, and to see the evolution of the Freddy Krueger character from the very first movie, where he didn't really say too much, right, in the beginning, in the very first movie. it was
Yeah.
it they relied more on kind of the mystique, right? And they didn't even really show his face too much. It was just like a lot of shadow work and stuff like that. But like as the movies progressed, Freddy had become more of a just almost kind of like a late night TV talk show host or something, right? Just but like a vulgar version. And he would like it was just so imaginative, and the one liners that he would say all the time. And man, Robert England really really brought it home with that. And I just really can't picture Kane being Freddy Krueger. I mean, it's the character would have just been completely different.
Exactly. I think it would have evolved into something else, which is also pretty fascinating to think about
Hmm.
what we would have got if we would have had Kane in there because it could have got a lot darker. Who knows,
Hmm.
But it definitely makes you think, how actors have their little touches and they bring certain characters to life in their
Yeah,
own way.
absolutely. They have their niche, right? I mean, any way that you look at it, right? So Kane really brought it with the physical acting in terms of, Jason Voorhees and Victor Crowley. You had, Robert Englund, who was the mouth, right? Like this guy was the mouthpiece and he brought it and he was that laugh, right? The laugh that he did was crazy. But then again, you have guys like Brad Dourif, who was the voice of Chucky, he in his own right is, I mean, he himself is a powerhouse, you
You
know.
must be a mind reader because that's exactly what was on my mind, the comparisons of the franchises.
Mm-hmm.
Child's Play, the first one was very dark, but as Chucky evolved throughout the movies, he
Mm-hmm.
became a character.
Yeah.
A lot of one-liners, gruesome, this that, very very similar to the same way, you know, the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise evolved.
Right. But at the same time, you can't compare one to the other. The
Oh no.
characters are completely different and completely unique, and you love them for all these different reasons, right? Because I mean, that would be crazy to see, like, Freddy Krueger interact with Chucky just because they both have mouths on them. I would love to be a fly on the wall and to actually hear like them just cutting each other down with insults and whatnot. Oh my god, I think that would be so entertaining, dude. I think it would be so entertaining.
You know what
You
I
know,
always loved was that opening scene of The Bride of Chucky
mm,
when Tiffany is in the evidence locker. She's
uh-huh.
going through the evidence locker and she's grabbing, Chucky's destroyed body from part three. But as she's strolling through the halls of the police station, you could see, Michael Myers' mask and Freddy Krueger's glove. And it was kind of crazy to see because it makes you feel like, wait, they all live in the same universe?
Right, exactly.
Which
Exactly.
means there's a possibility, you know?
I mean, dude, I think it's about time that we saw another Versus movie. Honestly, I think that it's been a while, right? I mean, how long has it been since Jason versus Freddy? I mean, I would have thought that we would have gotten some type of a sequel or some other matchup by now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, even in the interview they were doing with Kane, they had mentioned that, that movie was so successful and it was kind of left on
Hmm.
a bit of a cliffhanger of who won. It wouldn't be out of the realm of getting a Jason versus Freddy 2.
See, dude, look at this. This movie was made in 2003, dude. 2003. Like, come on, guys. What are we doing?
Yeah,
Seriously.
I would love to see a lot of crossovers, but they need to put it in the right people's hands. They just can't give it over to anybody. I was actually thinking about this the other day when it comes to remakes and stuff
Hmm.
like that. They just can't hand over the keys to certain people, man. There needs to be some vetting. There needs to be some it needs to be like American Idol. We should be able to vote who makes the next, Friday the 13th movie and stuff like that. They
Okay.
shouldn't be like, oh, we're going to pick this new guy and give him a shot and he's going to,
Mm,
monetize it and make it amazing. Like, no, leave it to the fans. The fans know.
absolutely. Absolutely. Um, because the one thing that I would hate to hear is if it's announced that they're making a new Friday the 13th or a new Nightmare on Elm Street and they're going to say directed by M. Night Shyamalan. Bro, I would throw a fit because I'll be damned if there's going to be some weird twist in there that says, "Oh my god, it was never real. It never really, it
This is a
never
big
happened."
A big dream sequence.
Oh, Jason is actually an alien. Like, get out of here, bro. Like, I'm so over those twists, those crazy twists and whatnot.
That's the fun thing about horror movies and the community is just it's similar like you said in the past. It's similar to Marvel movies and stuff like that. The debates could go on and on. The what
Hmm.
ifs and
Yep.
it's
I
just endless. But
and you
it's
literally
fun to
could
talk
just
about.
you could literally talk about it for hours and hours and not even just get bored with it.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
So this week's topic, natural disasters, it came from the community over on Facebook groups. Stephanie was talking to members in the group. We were asking for suggestions like we have in the past. I really do enjoy going to the well of the community because it kind of throws us off our pivot. And when they came back to us with natural disasters, I kind of think it kind of had us like, okay, we could do this, but we
Hmm.
were kind of thinking about it. We had to like, okay, we really got to think about this. I do have the post where Stephanie brought it up. There was a few other suggestions. I'm not going to say the movies that we're covering because those are
Okay.
on the list, but Sharknado is on there.
Hmm.
Um, The Impossible, La Pamela.
Hmm.
Somebody did ask a question because I guess they suggested a movie called Sick, and they said, "Is COVID a natural disaster?"
I mean, that would be. I would think that would be more of like an
Mm.
outbreak movie. Natural disaster. When you think natural disasters, obviously you're thinking, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, volcanoes erupting, like things that are forces of nature, basically. You know, and that's what kind of made it a little bit more difficult for us to kind of iron out and like find out which of these choices that we were gonna, choose when it came to the movies because there really aren't that many,
No,
right?
there's not too many. So I'm curious, what movie did you pick?
Oh man, so in kind of keeping with the whole, what was it? We covered I Know What You Did Last Summer, the
Hmm.
2025 release. We were thinking about natural disasters, and the first movie that really came to mind for me was a sequel, right, to the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. And so I chose I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, that was made in 1998, which, fun fact, you know that it was released only a year after the original was released? Like, they were really trying to ride the coattails of this.
Yeah, I
Um,
read. I think they had a script in 6 months. They really
mhm.
wanted to just ride the wave of Scream and their success from the first movie. But I kind of almost like this one more than the first one.
You know what, man? I was definitely going to say that too.
It's
I mean,
definitely
listen, I can't hate on the original, right? I still really, really enjoy the original, but there's something just super fun about this one because of the fact that now, Julie, the main character, Jennifer Love Hewitt, is no longer in the comfort of her own hometown, right?
okay.
She's in.
So remind me of how the story goes again.
Okay, so basically, this is now a year after the events of the original film, right? So Julie is now like well into her college career. She's, going to her classes. She's got an apartment on campus. I believe she's like a couple hours away from Southport, which was, the original town.
And in the first movie, it was like a group of friends. They hit somebody on the side of the road, and then they
Right,
dumped his body, and he came back to try to kill him.
right, exactly. And so basically, this one, like I said, it was a year later. Julie is trying to get on with her life, but she's finding it really difficult, right? She still has like that trauma. She has night terror. She has nightmares every single night, and she can't really get past it. She can't really get past it. I mean, think about it. You're put in this horrible situation where you're seeing your friends get murdered right in front of you, picked off one by one, and you and your boyfriend or significant other are the lone survivors of this crazy attack. So it's basically her just trying to pick up the pieces Well, the singer Brandy plays her best friend slash roommate in this film. And basically, she ends up winning a radio contest to go to a trip for four to the Bahamas, right? So immediately, Julie ends up calling Ray, who was her love interest in the first movie, played by Freddie Prinze Jr. And Ray basically like shoots her down. And one of the things that I wanted to say, bro, is I gotta say, with the disappointment that we had coming off of the newer film, I feel like
Hmm.
if you watch this film and you look at Ray and how he was acting in this one, I gotta say you can kind of see the change. You can kind of see the change in his character with this one because the way that he was acting, he was very needy, and he was really upset with Julie because he couldn't understand, why can't you come home? Why can't you get past your trauma and just be with me? And she keeps telling him, it's not you, it's all me. I can't, I just can't bring myself to go back there. And he's like, you mean you just can't bring yourself to go back with me? And I was like, dude, what is, come on, what is
Yeah,
this crap?
he was annoying for
He
sure.
was super annoying in this film, dude. He was very like just crybaby, whiny, and it's like, dude, you literally went through the same crap and you can't understand why Julie doesn't want to go back to Southport. Like, really? Come on, bro. It just didn't make any sense to me. But, they win this trip to the Bahamas. She ends up going without Ray. And, they go there and then they're like disappointed to find out that the only reason why they got this trip was because it was during the off season for the Bahamas. So, like,
Hurricane season.
the hurricane season, exactly. So around this time, like right before July 4th, all of the people, like basically the hotel resort and whatnot runs off of a skeleton crew.
Hmm.
So they only have like maybe one person working that's turning down the rooms. You got like one bartender, one manager, one bellhop, et cetera, et cetera, you know? And so they're like, oh, well, maybe we can still have fun, right? In the midst of this like hurricane and whatnot. This film actually has quite a few people in it that, I mean, I didn't even remember from watching it the first time, right? So you have a horror powerhouse, Jeffrey Combs. Dude, Jeffrey Combs is famous for The Reanimator.
Ooh.
And he was like that hotel manager who
Uh-huh.
was just like that character who was just really annoying, very arrogant. He's kind of a dick. He's just one of
He
those guys
was.
that he's just one of those guys that that he's worked in that job for so long that he's kind of jaded and he's just mean to people just because he's unhappy. Mark Boone Jr. was in there. That's the guy from like Sons of Anarchy. As I said, singer Brandy was in there. Jennifer Esposito. She's from Dracula 2000.
I kind of felt like there was too many pretty people in this movie.
You think so?
It was just like every time I looked around, it was like, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Brandy, Freddie Prinze Jr. There's just a bunch of just like supermodel. Like every time you would look at him, you'd be
I
like,
mean, well, and it's funny because I think like the only average person that was really in this movie was maybe Jack Black.
yeah. It
And
was fun
Jack
seeing him. Yeah.
Black, Jack Black famously got so much hate, at least his character did, for being this like burnout white boy wannabe Rastafarian with the dreadlocks and smoking weed. He was just really annoying. I loved him though. I absolutely love that character. The fact that like he runs up to them and is basically telling them like, "Hey, you guys want to buy, you need anything, just hit me up. I got you. I got what you need." But he's just so like, ugh. It's funny because this was like right before Jack Black took off, so it was cool to revisit a time when Jack Black wasn't this like huge name in
Yeah,
entertainment.
definitely. Yeah, I definitely feel like going back and rewatching it, you appreciate him more in the movie than probably when we originally first saw it.
Right.
But yeah, it was definitely like, whoa, Jack, and he
Mm-hmm.
killed it. He's funny like always, you know.
Absolutely, dude. But yeah, man, next thing you know, you got Ben Willis, man, the guy in the slicker. He goes right to work, starts killing off, the skeleton crew one person at a time, and really going out of his way to try to make Julie think that she's going crazy, right? Because she'll see a dead body, she freaks out, goes and grabs her friends, she brings them back, the dead body's gone. All the blood's cleaned up. And you're like, what the crap? And it literally makes me think, like, how do they do, like, because I am one of those people, I know it's annoying, but it's like you try to put yourself in those shoes and you wonder, like, okay, how is this guy able to, one, move the body, two, clean up all the blood, and do it all before she was able to come back with her friends?
Maybe he
You know what
wasn't
I'm saying?
alone.
Right, exactly. But it's like, I'm one of those people, I'm annoying like that. Like, have you ever seen a scene in a movie where a person has to swim from point A to point B underwater, and then like a dummy, I sit there and I try to hold my breath to see if to see if I could make it. I always
Yeah,
try to
I think when we were watching that movie a couple weeks ago, Old, there was a
uh-huh.
part when they went down into the reef, and man, they were holding their breath for like 2 or 3 minutes. I was like, is this
Right.
even like, is this a world record? Is this possible? Are my lungs
Yeah,
that bad? But yeah, I hear you on that.
I definitely try to put myself in those positions. And but yeah, so he's, hacking people up, which you if you're a horror fan, you love to see those scenes. Now you've got um the hook man actually has a hook for a hand this time, because famously at the end of the movie, the first movie, he loses his hand. And so now he's actually replaced it with this huge hook. And there are some pretty gnarly scenes in here where he is burying that hook into people's backs. At one part he ends up putting it through Mekhi Phifer's, like, the back of his head, and the hook comes out through the front of his neck. Oh man, it was really, really bad.
I enjoyed that kill.
It was awesome because he was annoying too.
He was so annoying. That was one of
He
the things going back and rewatching it. He was just so just needy
he
to Brandy and just such
he
a
was
like
he was a dick.
yeah, he was just a horn dog. And Brandy's character, man, she was such a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
She was like the best friend ever. She was just like, no, you boys could go find something to do. I need to be here with Julie and help her out. And he just kept getting mad and making all these remarks.
Yep.
And yeah, when that hook just went through the back of his skull and he got lifted up,
Kind of happy.
I was happy about it. Yeah, this movie definitely there's some nice kills, and I feel like I said earlier, it's a hot take. I feel
Okay.
like this movie, based on just the scenario and where it's at and the kills alone, it's arguably could be better than the first. I
Yeah, I
feel like
mean
it's
the
darker, you
fact that
know.
it's definitely like the variables. There's so many more variables now because they're in an area that's unfamiliar to them. They're stuck on this island. There's a damn hurricane going on, like, and then on top of it, they have a crazy hooked killer, like a killer with a hook for a hand that's chasing them. So, I mean, there's just so many variables in it, and I really enjoyed watching it again. I thought it was so much fun, honestly. Do I really need
No,
to waste my time and go through the ending and the plot twist and all that stuff? I mean,
no,
this movie's been out since 1998, and
no. This is
if you haven't really seen it by now, I mean, I don't think you're gonna watch it.
no, I definitely think it's a must watch, and there's some fun kills in there. What was your favorite kill? Because I have one on my mind that has like stuck with me over 20 years. Well, I guess it wasn't even a kill. It was. I'll go first.
Okay, you go ahead.
That scene when Julie's trying to unwind. They go to the gym and she's like, I'm gonna go suntan in like
Yeah.
one of the like suntan machines,
Yeah.
and she undresses and she gets in there. She got her iPod mini, and out of nowhere she gets zip tied inside of the machine, and they just crank that thing all the way up. And I remember being in the theater and panicking with her, like that stuck in my mind. And then rewatching it, I was like, oh my god.
That was actually, yeah, that's a great scene because you're thinking about like her skin burning, and
Hmm.
there's almost like a claustrophobia aspect to it also, right? Where like she is trying to push the lid off of her and she can't do it and she's freaking out. And the fact that she's freaking out is freaking you out. And Jennifer Love Hewitt, man, has that scream, that horror scream. It's like she was made to be in horror movies, man. Her
Yes.
scream is absolutely amazing, and it just cuts through everything, dude. It just fills you with dread. It fills you with terror. And that scene where she's like anxiously trying to get out of this tanning bed and she's just screaming at the top of her lungs, man. Oh my god. You really believed it. Like you really believed that she was in fear for her life. Like she was freaking the hell out. But I mean, if you're gonna ask me about my favorite kill,
Or part.
no, I'm definitely gonna go the kill route, dude.
Ooh.
I hate to do this, but Jack Black, Titus,
Oh.
right? The character Titus. So when he initially sees the Hook Man, he's like getting high, and he like looks up at him, can't really believe what he's seeing, and then he goes, "Can I help you with something?" And the Hook Man just buries that hook in his hand that's
Ooh.
on the table, dude. And that part always makes me cringe because again, I'm one of those people that kind of puts myself into that, into that person's position. And I'm
Hmm.
just thinking about what it would be like to have that hook go straight through your hand. Oh my god. And the fact that he's just kind of pinned down and he's screaming that like iconic Jack Black scream that he does. And he reaches over because they're inside of like it's like a shed.
Hmm.
And there's just an array, a smorgasbord of different items. There's like at one point he reaches towards like an axe, and then there's like various gardening tools and a machete and all of these different things. And Jack Black is like, "No, man, don't grab that." Right? And that's it's kind of funny because he's like, "No, dude, please, please don't." But then he decides on grabbing these. I don't even know what to call them. They're like not even like yard shears or whatever, but they're like the giant like scissors that
Like
you
hedge.
use.
It's like
The
trim
hedge,
hedges.
yeah, the hedge
Yeah.
trimmer thing, yeah, and it's like they're basically huge scissors, and he grabs that thing and he lifts it up, and Jack Black can't move because his hand is pinned down to this table, and he just raises it over his head and just buries it into his chest. And I remember just seeing all the blood squirt out and everything, and bro, that was just so crazy. So
Yeah.
so crazy.
That
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 actually is definitely one of my favorite kills in the
that is a crazy kill. And I didn't want to end this topic or this movie without
movie.
including another hot take that I was kind of feeling throughout this movie, and
Hmm.
I feel like there's no better place to, talk about how I feel than with you and with all our listeners.
Oh,
And I kind of don't blame the fishermen. I
what?
mean, let's think about it. You were hit by a car,
Uh-huh.
okay? You're hit by a car And these teenagers, these goofy teenagers with blonde tips in their hair, and they grab you and
Yeah.
they roll you off the ledge and leave you for dead.
So they don't even ask. They don't call for help.
They don't call for help. They just leave you for dead. But you're a survivor. And you don't die.
Uh,
I mean, wouldn't the revenge, the idea
I
of
mean,
revenge.
absolutely right. Like obviously, it was his like hate and his rage that kept him alive. Right, that fueled him, and I get what you're saying, but at the same time, didn't they piece together in the first film that he was just coming back from killing like his daughter's boyfriend?
Oh
Yeah, that was like a whole thing where they were like, yeah. So apparently he was just not a good guy.
no,
He
I
was
mean
actually
the
go
fact that
ahead.
he goes around like killing other people, like he should definitely like, bro, like go get Julie, go get Ray. Honestly, if you just would have singled those two out and just would have,
Right.
iced them, I mean, I kind of would have been able to. I still see his point of view on it, but the fact that he's just killing all these other innocent people,
Hmm.
it definitely makes it completely wrong and whatnot. But watching it, and at that point when Julie has to tell her friends that she came there with, like, yeah, I'm here, and the reason why we're being chased and possibly killed today is because of this guy that I left for dead last summer,
Yeah, and you
And
definitely did see the disappointment in Brandy's face
yeah.
when she told her that, you know. So it's like, dang, you know what, Jennifer Love Hewitt, you may be hot, but you're a bad person.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's definitely a hot take, but it was definitely something that crossed my mind of, the fisherman. I mean, I get it, revenge.
Dude, ever the devil's advocate, bro. That's always you. That is
So,
always you. You're always pleading the case.
right. But yeah,
Yep.
definitely like Big Paranormal said, if you haven't seen it, go ahead and watch it. Those first two movies, they're classics.
Absolutely, dude. So what about you, man? What movie did you choose?
Okay, so I had no movie in mind. I was scratching my head. I was
Mm-hmm.
clueless. So I went to the community and I took a suggestion. And it was a suggestion that I heard from a bunch of people. Even you
Mm-hmm.
had suggested this movie, and it is the movie Crawl from 2019.
Ooh, that's a good one.
This is my first time watching it this week for the podcast, and it definitely didn't disappoint. It's like a creature film that blends natural disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you guys a little bit about it. So, you meet this girl right off the beginning, Haley Keller. She's a competitive swimmer. She's really good. And she's just swimming away. And she ends up having a conversation with her sister. And her sister tells her how she hasn't talked to their dad in a while. And she's worried because there's a category 5 hurricane heading for their hometown where they live.
Yeah.
So, she jumps in her truck and she heads over there. As soon as she heads over there, they're like, hey, the roads are blocked off. It was actually somebody that she knew from growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, even though I know you, it's too dangerous. I'll go check on your dad later. Just go back home. She doesn't take their advice. She cuts right through and she heads to her father's house. She ends up picking up their dog, Sugar. They get to the second house, her and the dog now, and she's searching everywhere. The hurricane's getting worse. This giant tree comes right through the window and almost smashes her.
Mm-hmm.
And the dog starts to bark. The dog hears something or smells something. So the dog leads her to the garage where it leads into like a crawl space underneath the house.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes into the crawl space and it's disgusting down there because it's all moist and wet. She's walking around and she starts to find clues. First, she finds a radio that's on. So the
Hmm.
fact that there's a radio on, okay, my dad must have just been down here. She keeps continuing her search. She finds some tools, and then I think eventually, like a bloody shirt. And so she's like, okay, something happened. She goes into like, let me find my dad. She ends up finding him. He's behind these bars. As she finds him, she starts to get like chased by this giant freaking gator. This thing was huge, and it chases her right between the bars, and he can't get in between the bars, so they're kind of just confined to this very small space underneath the house.
Hmm.
She pulls her dad's jacket back, and she just sees this giant, just gaping hole
Oh,
in his upper chest, and the dad looks dead. The dad is just unresponsive. He's laying there. She ends up checking his pulse, and she realizes that he isn't dead. So, you could tell that she has this relationship with her father, and she's this type of girl who just doesn't give up. She has the heart of
a
a
champion.
lion, heart of a champion, or apex predator, like her father would tell her when she was little, training for swimming. She starts like dragging her father, and he's just so freaking like she's just small, like he's
Heavy.
just and he's just dead weight, and she cannot move him one bit. He ends up eventually waking up, and this movie just kind of takes you on a roller coaster. You've seen the movie, right?
Bro. I actually so okay, so one some of my favorite movies have to do with sharks and with alligators and crocodiles, right? Those are some of my favorite movies because crocodiles, alligators, and sharks are perfect predators, right?
Mm-hmm.
They are the original dinosaurs and prehistoric that have not really had to evolve much because they're so perfect. They are the perfect killing machines, right? And then add into effect the fact that like you have a natural disaster that's going on that's flooding everywhere, and that's always been a question of mine, right? Because I remember even when I was a little kid and I used to see news stories, and you would see like helicopters flying over these communities that were completely flooded, with because of hurricanes. And that was always a huge thing with me is I'm like, you know what, they're reporting about this hurricane, but they never report about like animal attacks that could be happening as a result of these hurricanes, right?
Yeah.
Because in parts of like Texas, in Florida, which I believe in Florida is where this movie was based, they have a huge alligator population, right? Because they have swamps and whatnot out there. So then you think about like, why don't they ever tell about like survival story? Like you never hear anybody talk about surviving alligator attacks during these things. And so this movie really just like brought it for me because they weren't just dealing with one alligator, dude. They were dealing with multiple alligators, dude. They were put in some crazy scenarios where they were like surrounded by alligators. There's water all around them, and they can't see. They can't see underneath the water to know if there is a big ass gator right there. And that's the thing that makes it terrifying. The fact that you could have this gigantic apex predator that is right next to you and you wouldn't even know it because they're just perfect at stalking their prey. It's so freaky, dude. And it's just so crazy how the situations that like there's a scene in there where she is like narrowly escapes getting out of the bathroom because of like the shower. It was like the shower door and whatever. She was like able to trap one of the gators inside of like the shower thing. I think it was. But like, dude, and it was also another one of those things where it's like they had a dog and I cared way more about the dog than I did about anybody else, but that's just me.
No, I'm the
That's
same
just me
way.
personally.
But there was a certain part where I was like, oh, I bet big was like sweating bullets thinking about this dog.
Yeah.
When I was first watching the movie, the concept is crazy. Like the idea alone of just being in a category 5 hurricane is frightening enough, but the fact that yeah, there's gators in your house, and when I was watching it, I was kind of first getting a little bit disappointed because I was like, well, she's the main character, and
Mhm.
this is the dad, and obviously we want both those characters to make it, you know.
Yes.
So I'm thinking to myself like, a horror movie, we need some gore, we need some blood, and there's actually some looters and some other people that come into the whole picture, and
Mhm.
this movie has some really really good kill scenes. So
It really does.
in the
And it's
beginning
like
I
you
was,
you actually enjoy seeing some of the bad guys get their comeuppance, you
oh
know?
yeah, oh yeah,
Absolutely.
there's definitely some fun kills in this movie. Actually, I had a few fun facts. Let me see.
Oh,
It
nice.
actually looks like this movie was filmed in Siberia.
Wait, what?
Yeah, and they used a massive water tanks, 5 million liters daily for realistic flooding. Yeah, the Siberian president came out during production to like
Uh,
make sure everything was like going right, you know.
okay.
So I thought that was just a crazy thing because you're like, this movie, it looked like you were in Florida or New
Absolutely, because
Orleans or something like that.
you're seeing like palm trees and whatnot. You know, that's crazy how they're literally filming in Siberia, which is like one of the coldest places, and it makes it look like it's like in a tropical setting almost, you know? And I don't know, dude, you never really think about what the actors that are cast in these films, what they have to endure to have to make these movies.
Oh
And now
yeah.
that you say that it was like in Siberia and the fact that they were in water like 90% of the time, they were like drenched, right? They're soaking wet. They had to be freezing. They
Oh
had to
yeah.
be absolutely freezing, man. Which kind of makes me appreciate the movie a hell of a lot more now.
Well, they were also saying that it was a lot of during the kill scenes, they were all CGI, but when they
Mm-hmm.
weren't kill scenes, there was a lot of like green screen stuntmen. They were simulating gators. There was a lot of practical effects. Um, so a lot went into this movie. They actually had a pretty big budget, $15 million. So Paramount put a lot into to make this movie. What I also liked about this movie is that it was only 87 minutes. It was just a nice banger. It was just like 87 minutes. It was straight to the point. It didn't like skimp
Mm-hmm.
around. It told a really good story.
Yes,
It kept
sir.
you on it kept you on the edge of the seat. I appreciate the recommendation from the community and yourself, and
Uh-huh.
it's definitely a must watch.
Absolutely. I highly, highly recommend this movie. It is such a fun, just a fun watch. Like you said, keeps you on the edge of your seat, man. It really does. Oh man. I kind of want to go to Florida and just go to like one of those gator farms. Do you see like they have like that thing where they put you in like this clear container thing and then they dunk you in a tank filled with gators? I don't know if I would
I,
do. Would you do that?
I would do it, but I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if you would do it.
What, you call me a punk?
You would be like, see, the thing is I'm not scared of no gator. I'm scared of what I might do to that gator.
Oh, you're calling me out. You're a oh wow. Wow. No, dude, listen. I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to gators, I'm not mincing words, bro. That thing will kill me. I told you, I'm scared of those things. I'm scared of gators. I'm scared of sharks. I'm scared of crocodiles. They like I can't even see them in the zoo, bro. Like I can't
They're scary.
I remember going on a trip to the zoo and there was like it was like a 12-foot long gator and the only thing that was keeping it from getting out was like I don't know these weird it wasn't even bars, right? It was just like two bars and like some wire that was like hanging across. I'm like, dude, what if this thing really wanted to? It could get out and it could eat me. It's probably looking at me thinking that I look like a tasty warthog or something.
Yeah, no, they're creepy and they hiss and they're huge and they
Bro,
don't get enough love.
I don't mess with nature, bro. I don't.
When I was out in Colorado, I took my daughter to the Cheyenne Zoo up in the mountains, and
Oh, nice.
they had this giant gator.
Oh
But the
no.
thing about gators and zoos, like usually they don't move. Like they just stay still. They're cold blooded.
Exactly.
So I'm like telling my daughter, I'm like, come over here, like, look at this giant gator. And she was just like, I think there was like a peacock that was like they just let peacocks kind of roam the grounds. And she's like, no, I'm trying to like hang out with this peacock.
Uh-huh.
I was like, yeah, but that's a lame peacock. Like, this is a freaking apex predator right here. They're so impressive and fascinating.
They are
I love them.
because they're so big and you think that they're not fast, but they're so fast and
Oh
they're
yeah.
so powerful, man. Like those things, they scare me, dude. Like real life, they scare me.
Oh, all that scene in the movie. She had a gun. The alligator just put like chomped down on her hand,
Oh yeah,
and she was just firing and firing and firing. You would think like after the first bullet he would have let go, but no, he was locked on.
nah, bro.
She pretty much had to let off a whole magazine before he like lost his grip. You know.
Oh my god! And then you think would have like tore her arm off and would have did that death roll. Oh man, they see. I don't even like talking about it, man. It's giving me goosebumps. I don't like it.
I definitely feel like they missed a mark in the movie when she
Hmm.
stumbled on like the nest and there was like all the babies.
Hmm.
I would have loved if the babies would have just started like jumping in her hair.
I mean, that's a little bit more far fetched, but I mean, it would have been entertaining,
I was just
definitely.
like, I was like, oh my god, there's babies, and then she kind of made her way through and out, and I was just like, oh, I was like, that was a missed opportunity. I was hoping like,
You wanted to see some crazy gator baby action.
yes, I did. So sorry for the spoilers. I'm gonna stop now. Like we both
Watch
said,
it.
this is go ahead and
Watch the
watch it.
movie. Yes, watch this movie. It's so great. It's so much fun.
And
But
it looks like it's
moving
on
on.
Paramount it's on Paramount right now. So if you have that, you can
Mm,
watch it for free. But now let's get into our new favorite subject matter. We're gonna start ending every episode with some true crimes that are related to our community topic.
right.
So Big,
Yes,
what
sir.
true crime story do you have for us?
Oh man. So I don't know if anybody has actually heard of this story. Some people probably have because I'm sure that they've done like 2020 documentaries about them and whatnot. But there was an actual murder that happened during Hurricane Katrina, right? So back in 2006, I don't know if you remember, man, but Hurricane Katrina was just, it was horrible,
It
right? There was
was.
tons of devastation. A lot of people were misplaced. You know, they had to evacuate and leave their houses and their homes. But there was this young couple called named, let's see, the guy's name was Zach Bowen and his girlfriend's name was Addie Hall, and they chose to stay in their apartment. I believe it was like on the French Quarter, which is like one of the main streets in downtown Louisiana, New Orleans, right?
Hmm.
And bro, so like them along with like a handful of other people who just like refused to evacuate, they just kind of made their life inside of this abandoned city, right? So they were like making their way into all these different homes and stores and whatever, taking whatever they needed. And I mean, they were just living this kind of hedonistic lifestyle, right? It was just like a nonstop party for them, while everybody else was like holed up in you know, like football stadiums and whatever, and you know, they were being fed by FEMA and whatnot. These people were like, nah, we're hunkering down, we're not leaving, and we're just gonna live our life here. You know, I mean, there was no law, there was nothing, right? And so they were basically, like I said, living this hedonistic lifestyle. But something ended up happening, right? I mean, there were people that knew Zach and Addie, and they knew that they had like a very tumultuous relationship. And Zach was actually an Iraq war veteran, So they did say that he suffered from PTSD, but like when everything kind of started going back and people were starting to come back in to the city, into New Orleans, and like soldiers and law and everything started to like to show up, I guess something ended up happening that people didn't know about. They were asking like where Addie was. Well, apparently they had some type of a disagreement, and Zach murdered Addie, right? But it was to a ridiculous, like a ridiculous degree, bro. So apparently, when the authorities showed up, he ended up killing himself. He just took a header. He just dove off of the roof and just took a header right to the ground, man, and just killed himself. People were trying to figure out why he would do something like that. So they went up to their apartment, and what they found was the stuff of nightmares. They went upstairs and they found what looked to be like a freaking literal murder scene, right? There was blood all over the walls. And they ended up finding pieces of Addie Hall. He dismembered her, dude.
Ugh.
He dismembered her. And they actually found parts of her body in like a big old pot. They were
No.
saying that he attempted to cook her. Now they actually did not confirm whether or not that he actually ate her. The rumors of cannibalism were they were just that. They were rumors. But they were never really able to figure out what exactly happened to push him to go to that extreme. But like, dude, absolutely crazy. And the fact that, it kind of coincides perfectly with the whole natural disaster thing, right? Because the thing is, you're obviously scared about the natural disaster itself, scared of the hurricane, but then to think that, okay, you're it's not just the hurricane that you need to be afraid of, but you need to be afraid of other people, other survivors. And unfortunately, this girl should have been afraid of her boyfriend. But yeah, it was a real, just horrible, horrible case, man. But
Yeah,
yeah, I
it's
didn't really
crazy.
go too.
Yeah, it's crazy when you see like these type of things happening, these hurricanes and floods, and you just see like lootings and sexual assault and murders.
It
It's
often
crazy.
it often brings out the worst in people.
Usually surprised how humans actually will come together and they'll actually put their differences aside and work together. That's usually when you see communities and people actually just stop the BS and actually work together. But then there's some individuals who just take advantage of it. And bro, that was a sick story, man. The fact that there's rumors of her body just being in a boiling pot on the stove.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, it's absolutely nuts.
That is nuts. So that's one type of evil. Actually, I found another story. Alan Moreau. It looks like back in December 26, 2004,
Mm.
there was an Indian Ocean tsunami that killed over 230,000 people across 14 countries, including Phuket and Thailand.
Oh, jeez.
Terrible, terrible tsunami. And this guy, if you could even call him a person, this monster,
Mm-hmm.
Alan Morrell, he was a 49-year-old British property developer. He was there vacationing with his girlfriend, Amy, 26-year-old woman.
Mm-hmm.
He basically he kills her. He saw an opportunity. The whole country is going crazy because of the tsunami. He kills his girlfriend for insurance money.
Oh, jeez,
He hides the body. The body was never discovered.
bro.
He goes on social media claiming that his girlfriend is missing and he's sad.
Uh-huh.
and he's just drinking and partying all over social media for the next couple weeks. The fact that there's somebody out there that somebody planned somebody's murder,
Hmm.
but I'm sure this seems, or at least it seems like they were on vacation and he saw an opportunity and he knew that she had an insurance policy that he could get his hands on, and he offed his girlfriend and took the money.
Dude, that's just like, it's so crazy to think about the fact that, like, I mean, he had to have had this in him the whole time, you know?
You think
I don't,
maybe there was another plan and then this came up and he was like, "Oh, this is even better."
maybe,
Yeah.
maybe, dude, maybe he literally like saw this as an opportunity and was like, you know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. And then it's like, who would even think to question it, right? It's like, oh man, you're in this unbelievable situation where tons of people are dying because of this natural disaster. Who would even think to question it? That's just nuts, dude.
The tsunami happened in December of 2004.
Hmm.
As soon as he gets back to the UK, he files for the insurance. He gets the money, he pays off all his debts. But I guess around mid 2005,
Hmm.
the UK, basically the evidence, the hotel staff's testimonies
Okay.
started to not line up with what he was saying. You
Mm.
know, in their testimonies, they were saying that, they never left the hotel room and they were completely safe being there. And they started to kind of dig back. And I guess they were able to find some forensic traces of blood.
Oh,
And obviously, he had a motive. So they were able to convict him. They sentenced him to life, but then they later reduced it.
damn.
So,
So I mean, it's kind of confusing because it's like, wait a minute, like they weren't able to find her body, but they were literally able to have like find the enough evidence to convict him, right?
yeah.
And so that's probably why they ended up reducing the sentence. But the fact that this guy, he knows what he did with her body, you know,
Oh,
he
yeah.
knows what he did with her body. He easily could have, you know what, like, bro, you got caught. Like, let her get a proper burial, man, so that her family can at least gain some type of peace.
Yeah,
And
that
he
was
didn't
one of
even
the,
do that. This guy's a
yeah,
scumbag.
yeah, that was one of the worst parts when I read, yeah, Amy's remains were never found. You're caught. Like, at least tell them where the body is. Let's have a proper funeral and just let the family move on and, go through their grieving process. Oh, man. These
Sad, man.
yeah, these true crimes, they're hard to like sometimes talk about and think about.
Hmm.
Movies, it's I like to have a lot of fun with them. You like to put yourself in their shoes.
Hmm.
I like to play devil's advocate and think
Uh-huh.
about both sides of the fence, but yeah, sometimes when you hear these true crime stories, it's like,
Right.
man, these people are sick out here.
Well,
So
because the thing is, at the end of the day, right, when you're talking about the movies, it's fictional. At the end of the day, right? Some of the movies may be based on a true story, but you know for a fact that these people that you're watching getting slashed and whatever are not actually dying at the end of the day. They're going home. But then to
yeah,
think about this true crime stuff and know that there was no happy ending when it came to this, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And the fact that a girl had to lose her life, a woman had to lose her life because of somebody's greed makes it even worse.
yeah.
That was heavy.
So to get off the topic,
Hmm.
we're coming to the end of this episode. It's always a pleasure getting on here with you. We appreciate all the support we get online. We appreciate any comments, likes, reposts. This is a true labor of love for the both of us. We do this every week for the community and for, people who just love horror.
Yeah.
Um, if you guys have any suggestions, we would love to hear it. You can leave a comment. You could go over to our Facebook group, the Scary Vibes Facebook group. Um, Abraham is on TikTok.
Yeah, that's under Big Paranormal, big with two G's. You guys can also hit up the Instagram page. I mean, we're on Scary Vibes is on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads, I believe.
And we're on YouTube.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So there's somebody on there that has the Scary Vibes name. They have like 6 subscribers. So they're not even doing anything with the account, but I cannot get the account. So to find us, it is Mr. Scary Vibes. So I will be posting the podcast on there. There's also shorts of our podcast. You could listen to snippets of it to see if it's something that you're interested in listening to before listening to the whole episode. But we're over there also. So if you're on YouTube, give us a like, a share, a follow. We definitely appreciate it. But I think that's going to be an episode. My name is Michael, aka Mr. Scary Vibes.
And my name is Abe, aka Big Paranormal. Take care, everybody.